Welcome back to the channel, coin enthusiasts and history lovers. Today we'll be exploring a fascinating piece of Australian coinage, the 1976 Australian 20-cent coin. While many people may dismiss an old rusty-looking coin as worthless pocket change, the truth is that every coin has a story to tell. The 1976 20-cent coin, especially when found in aged or rusty condition, reflects not only the history of Australian money but also the science of how coins age over time. Let's dive into its background, design, value, and what its rusty appearance really means. Historical context. The Australian 20-cent coin was first introduced in 1966, at the time of decimalisation, when the nation switched from pounds, shillings, and pence to the dollar and cent system. The 20-cent coin replaced the old florin, which had a similar size and value. By 1976, the coin had been in circulation for just a decade, and millions were produced to support Australia's growing economy. Coins from this era are still found in circulation today, though many are heavily worn or discolored, especially those struck in 1976. Metal composition. Unlike copper coins, the Australian 20-cent is made from a copper-nickel alloy, specifically 75% copper and 25% nickel. This gives it a silver-like appearance when freshly minted, with a bright metallic shine. The coin weighs 11.31 grams and measures 28.65 millimeters across, making it one of the larger and heavier coins in everyday use. However, despite being nickel-based, exposure to harsh conditions such as moisture, salt, and soil can lead to discoloration, tarnishing, or what people often describe as a rusty look. Why do 1976 coins look rusty? Strictly speaking, copper-nickel coins don't rust the way iron or steel does, because they don't contain iron. Instead, they develop corrosion or tarnish. When a 1976 Australian 20-cent coin looks rusty or brownish-orange, it's usually the result of copper oxidation. Over time, the copper in the alloy reacts with oxygen, water, or chemicals in the environment, creating surface corrosion. This is especially common if the coin was buried in the ground, left in damp conditions, or exposed to salt air near the coast. Obverse design. On the obverse side of the 1976 coin, we see the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, as designed by Arnold Machin. This effigy was used on Australian coins from 1966 through to 1984. The Queen is shown wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, with her name Elizabeth II and the word Australia inscribed around the edge. Even in rusty or worn condition, this portrait is often still visible, though the finer details may fade with corrosion and heavy circulation. Reverse design. The reverse side of the 1976 Australian 20-cent coin is one of the most iconic in modern coinage. It features the platypus, a unique native Australian animal, designed by Stuart Devlin, who was also the designer of many decimal coins. The platypus is depicted swimming through water, with flowing lines representing movement. Even on rusty or aged coins, the distinctive platypus design can usually still be recognized, making it an enduring symbol of Australian wildlife and culture. Minting details and circulation. In 1976, millions of 20-cent coins were struck at the Royal Australian Mint for circulation, making this year's issue quite common. Unlike certain low mintage years, 1976 is not considered rare. However, condition plays a huge role in collectability. While a corroded or rusty coin typically has little to no premium value above face, a 1976 coin in uncirculated condition or as part of a proof set can be more desirable to collectors. Value in rusty condition. So what is a 1976 Australian 20-cent coin worth if it's rusty? Generally speaking, if the coin is corroded, worn, or badly discolored, it will usually only be worth its face value, 20 cents. Collectors prefer coins in better grades, and corrosion reduces appeal. However, some people keep such coins for educational purposes, to show how different metals age. If the coin is only lightly tarnished, cleaning is not recommended, since improper cleaning can damage the surface even more. Collector interest and rarity factor. While a rusty 1976 coin may not hold much numismatic value, it can still be a conversation piece. Collectors often study the effects of corrosion, spotting differences in how coins age depending on storage conditions. For example, a coin found in soil might look completely different from one kept near the sea. In rare cases, era coins from this year, such as misstrikes or off-center strikes, could be worth far more, even in poor condition. However, These are very uncommon. Conclusion. In conclusion, the 1976 Australian 20-cent coin in rusty condition may not make you rich, but it's still an important reminder of Australia's decimal history and the everyday role of coins in people's lives. Its corrosion tells a story of where the coin has been, what it has endured, and how metal reacts to the environment. Whether you keep it as part of a collection, use it for educational purposes, or simply appreciate its design, the 1976 platypus 20-cent coin remains a fascinating piece of Australian